Hello and welcome to day 18 of the 31 Days of Tarot Challenge hosted by Ethony. The link for the prompts will be in the description box below if you want to go and check that out. For today we have another prompt that was submitted by somebody within the tarot community. This one came from Lizzie Bolton. And the prompt is, what cards relate to you personally, not just your astrological association or court cards? And I really liked this question. I have to admit, this was a really interesting exercise in self-awareness, as much as it was an interesting exercise in your knowledge of the tarot and how you relate to those cards. So I found this really, really fascinating. I've used my Everyday Witch because it was the cards that I had to hand. And I've got 5 cards, but 2 of them I've kind of drawn as a pair because to me, in some ways, they kind of indicate the same thing. And these are based on how I see myself personally. And some of them might seem a bit contradictory, maybe, I don't know, but I am quite contradictory, so it is what it is. Anyway, I'm gonna move the camera a little bit closer because it feels really far away. Okay, that's better. So the first card that I have selected for a card that I feel relates to me personally, I was trying to think of that, I was just re-looking at the wording that she used, but relates to me personally, is the 9 of Pentacles. And the reason that I've picked the 9 of Pentacles is because this is my life. You know, this is my life. I have lived alone for the better part of over 15 years now. I've lived by myself for over 15 years. Everything I have, I've earned for myself. I am completely responsible for my day-to-day life. I'm completely responsible for the animals that live within my home. I'm completely responsible for the bills. I'm completely responsible for everything. Everything that happens in my home, in my domain of my earthly domain, if you like, is completely my responsibility. I'm an incredibly independent person, and I am also very comfortable in my own company. I'm very good at finding things to keep me entertained. I'm very good at doing, knowing what gives me joy and what makes me feel comfortable. And I think all of these things are kind of bound up within the 9 of Pentacles. So I think this one absolutely relates to me personally on that level. So that was my first card. My next one is the pair, really. So these, I think, kind of almost come as a pair. So I've got the 2 of Swords and the 7 of Cups. And I think the reason that I've picked them as a pair is because they're both in their own way about struggling to make decisions and about struggling to figure out what you want and what's the right way to go. And I've talked about this before. I talked about it in the video a couple of days ago when we talked about sun signs, and I talked about it when I did my video about whether I'm a typical Libran. It's something that I've mentioned before, that I struggle with decisions, and the reason that I struggle with decisions and choosing the right option is quite often because I feel like I don't have all the information, I don't have enough information, or I can't see everything that I need to be able to see. And because I can't see it all, I end up stuck between these 2 or more ways of going, and I feel like I have to have all of that information before I can decide, because otherwise I may think I'm getting something good, but actually I'm just not seeing everything. I'm not seeing it clearly. And I think these cards really do represent that in a really great way. So I would say these 2 again relate to my personality in that particular way. Another card that relates to my personality, I would say, is, and like these last 2 almost feel like a contradiction because one is less positive than the other, but so I'll stick to the point. So the next card would be the Nine of Swords. And the reason I would say that this one relates to me personally is because I am an overthinker. I'm an overthinker and I'm a worrier and I'm an overanalyzer. And excuse me, I'm just going to drink some coffee. I've got a really dry throat. I think the Nine of Swords is like what the Hermit could be if you took it to an extreme. So whereas the Hermit is very much about analysis and reflection and that kind of stuff, the Nine of Swords is that extreme version of that, where it becomes anxiety driven, it becomes about worry, it becomes about over stressing about things and over obsessing about things. And I think and sometimes it's like those things are never going to come to pass. Those things you're worrying about aren't going to happen. It's a mental thing. It's not a, you know, it's a sword. It's a mental thing. It's not a physical thing. It's not things that are even likely to ever become real. And I know this about myself. I know I'm an overthinker. I know I worry too much. I know that my anxiety is very much tied into situations where I feel like I'm not in control, because I can over analyze the situation to a point where I get myself convinced that the worst possible thing is going to happen. And I think it's something that I'm very aware of and something that I personally am attempting to work through. But as it stands at the moment, the Nine of Swords absolutely represents that facet of my personality. So I think that's why I've chosen this card in this instance. And then the very last card that kind of relates to my personality and feels like an odd one is the Fool. And for all my seriousness before, at my heart, I am a huge child. I am a huge child. I am a grown woman whose friends bought her a kaleidoscope for Christmas because they knew that the simplicity of it would bring me so much joy and entertainment and would bring so much excitement. I get excited about the stupidest of things. I am excitable. I love the silliest of moments. I have that innocent naivety about me sometimes, and I wouldn't change that for the world. It's one of the things that I like about my personality is that I can be a little bit naive, and I can be a little bit too trusting, and I can be a little bit too open to the simple joys in life. But I like that about myself, you know. And I don't know if you've ever done it, but I did one of those archetype quizzes online where you answer a load of questions and it will tell you which archetype you're most like based on your answers. And I've done 2 or 3 different quizzes, 2 or 3 different ones, and always get the innocent as my answer. And I think the Fool is the epitome of the innocent archetype. So that's another reason why I've picked that card. So those are the cards that I think I have no astrological relationship to. They're not court cards, but they absolutely relate to my personality. There were a couple more that I was a little bit, maybe I could, maybe I couldn't, but I just went with the ones that I very strongly felt, yes, these cards absolutely epitomise my personality in some way. As always, hope you found this interesting, and I will see you all tomorrow for the next one. Take care and lots of love, everybody. Bye-bye.